Wanaume
mpaka mtu wenyewe kidole katolewa. Yeah. Oh, you're going today, yeah. Yeah. Right away. Yeah. Yeah. And then you have that. You know how much? I don't know if I'm doing here. When I did it, she was really horrible. I was hopefully both was black to check that out. Yeah, I have to find really sure. Yes. Yes. All the union benefits. Wow. Even the lawyer. Everything is what we are there. All of it is for itself. You know, sometimes you get people they are God and they are not. Huh? You think it's your issue God and you think you cannot survive without it. You're going to you must know, I mean to know in general. They work with the mathematics. So I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's cold today,
It
right?
is cold outside.
They messed up today. They on Saturdays they usually close the front gate in front of the garages where the cars are
Yeah.
at work. And today they were open, but they didn't tell nobody, so I had to walk all this cold outside until like the end of like yes, it's freezing. And I had no jacket on, just had a sweater on. Oh, you know what? Yes, space is good nowadays because of the union.
Yeah, it's really cold.
You get right away, but they're like, oh, you want to be a manager? But once you become a manager or supervisor, they give up. And I automatically get a pension and everything. So it's good. You have all the benefits. I just get small COVID. That's good. And I'll let you guys know. That's just me. I'll let you know how it's
Maria, see you later.
gonna be okay. You do this. I go. You say, come on, I go off.
Mkubwa yuko wapi? Mkubwa yuko wapi? Mudos.
Value incrementally, right? And we're receiving feedback from that, right? Because we have that PDCA, plan, do, check, adjust cycle. We also, mostly through the product owner, are connecting with the customer. We're keeping that, making sure, are we doing the right thing? This little diamond symbol is what's used, usually represents design thinking, which is constantly reevaluating the feedback that you've got, and a whole bunch of other tools and methods to make sure you really understand the customer's problems and making sure that our solutions are solving, right, some definable problem. And then the last responsibility is that we're improving relentlessly. Again, we've got to keep momentum. We've got to always be working at improving, not only as a team, but our role as a team on the team of teams. Here are the two specialty roles. So you have this Scrum Master, which you guys are all in class for. It has the traditional Scrum responsibilities of removing impediments, all those things that you would find. But most all of that from just Scrum class would fall under the supports iteration execution, right? Just meaning you're supporting all the events, you're facilitating the events, guiding the team to best practices, staying time boxed, stuff like that. But also you need to be concentrating on flow, right? It's all about this flow. How do we get things all the way to done quickly? That's a loaded point right there. But so if we were to go look at the Scrum Master article, by the way, I go here and look at Scrum Master, and I go down to the Scrum Master's responsibility wheel. These 5 points are what's listed there, right? Improving flow. Improve flow. Building a high-performing team. The other thing about the way that you want to think about yourself as a Scrum Master is as if your role is temporary. I know that sounds weird, but that's the gist of a coach in a specialty role, is that you're there to instill capabilities. People used to actually think of this role as temporary. Now, I mean, it's still morphing. Most people agree it's something you need consistently and permanently. But you may, if you have high performing teams, you may be able to handle more than one team. But the idea is that you're not going to make yourself something that's relied upon, right? So even if you have subject matter expertise, you don't get to use it when you're in the role as Scrum Master. That's the idea, right? You're there to teach them how to fish, not to provide the fish for them, right? You're teaching them how to operate as a high-performing team. But then you also have, outside of just the Scrum responsibilities, you have these responsibilities to the ART, the Agile Release Trainer, the team of teams, improving the performance and facilitating, right, from your team's perspective, the planning that's going to be done for the team of teams, which is called PI planning. Again, there'll be a definition slide. So the Scrum Master role is very much coach. These are such loaded statements because this requires an understanding of software development cycles, an understanding of why automation is important, some DevOps, or you can't improve flow, right? You have to have at least that understanding of how those pieces fit together. This high-performing team is talking about, right, there's so many things, conflict management, other team dynamics. The product owner is different. So where the Scrum Master is worried about the efficiency of the team, the product owner is worried about making sure that what the team is producing is valuable, right? So you have efficiency and value delivery. So the product owner is representing, they're sort of proxy for the customer. They're also proxy for product management. So I'm just gonna, if you look here at our two levels, product owner is at the team level. And if I go up, I get product management or a product manager at the team of teams level. So in SAFe, product owner is really also representing and helping the team execute on what the product manager has the vision. So the product manager owns the vision of the solution. So this term product owner sometimes confuses people because they're kind of not the owner, really. The owner of their component, but the solution, where most of the products lie, it's kind of owned by product management. And where it gets really confusing is when you start getting to people's actual titles. And then you read their job descriptions and you find out that some companies define product owners very broadly, which actually would include the product management function. And you also see the opposite of that. So you see here they're contributing to the vision and roadmap. Whereas if we were to look at product management, we'd see that they own the vision and roadmap, but they're looking to the product owners to contribute. They have content authority, which means what goes in the team backlog and how it's prioritized is ultimately a decision of the product owner. They're supporting the team, and then of course, getting and applying fast feedback. Making sure that that's represented in the backlog. Any questions about those roles? Okay. So one more level of depth that you have to learn, especially for SAFe, right? But this really applies to Scrum, but especially at scale, is that some people actually will refer to the kind of Scrum that SAFe uses as Scrum XP. And that's because there's a huge focus on built-in quality, right? So if we think about some of the lead concepts we talked about briefly so far, that we want work broken down into small pieces, time box value, because we want a complete learning cycle. Also, small pieces of work flow faster. We're better at predicting things that are small than big items of work, right? We can deliver value faster. Well, if you're not really confident in the quality of things, releasing even more smaller things to production could be a disaster. So you have to have a big focus on built-in quality. And they want you to be familiar with these 5 generic built-in quality practices, just the gist of them. You're definitely going to get a question, at least 1, maybe 2 on this. But it'll stay high level because this is the only slide. Shift left. Remember we talked about this a little bit, right? We want to deliver value faster so that we can learn faster. So the shift learning left. What that means is we want testing to be done very close to when development is done, which means we want testers embedded in the teams. We want security concerns to be handled much earlier. We want to build into our build process sort of static code analysis, anything that can learn and catch things earlier is going to help with quality. There's pair and peer review. That's a great way of monitoring quality. It's not something all developers are familiar with or comfortable with, but good Scrum Masters would encourage this and set this up. And it doesn't even have to be the same role. You could pair up different roles. This practice has been around for a long time, right, from extreme programming. This practice also helps with the next one, is collective ownership and T-shaped skills. The idea that, let's say you're on a baseball team, my role is the pitcher, and all I'm going to do is throw. If you think that, right, so then somebody does a little pop-up that you could catch, but that's not your job. You fold your arms and not catch the ball, right? This not my job is a problem. We want collective ownership. We want people, how do you get the team motivated to not think that I have my job, you have your job, and I just want my task, and if I succeed, I'm okay. What you want is, all that matters is the team succeeds. Right? What does it take? What do good coaches do to get that mentality? To do that usually requires what they call T-shaped skills. Right? So if we're going to help as a team and we're stuck in testing, we need to figure out how to get more people unsticking testing for those things rather than just pulling in more work and process. And right, so they use this T-shaped skill thing. I'm sure some of you have probably heard of it. Basically, the idea is that traditionally, we would see a lot of I-shaped skills, meaning that somebody would have depth in a certain area, right? So it would go deep, like an I. But more and more, again, it can't always happen, but in general, we want T-shaped skills. People, they have their specialties, but they also have the ability to lend a hand to help out to at least a certain level of depth, the top of the T, in a wider range of areas. Everybody good so far? I'm just going to do a check-in goat. Okay, everybody's good? Just had to make sure. Another built-in quality practice, artifact standards, coding standards, right? We'll define a definition of done for a story. And if one doesn't exist, that's one of the first things the Scrum Master should insist upon. What's the checklist that a story's done? Did it go through code review, right? Is it meeting standards? Did it pass all of these tests or that test, those tests? And then lastly, you have to automate. Automation really is not an option anymore. If you're making progress on all the other things we're talking about, you are quickly going to hit a bottleneck in how fast you can push things through the system if you're not automated, right? Because we want more and smaller bits of work flowing through the system. You're going to have to automate. Okay, everybody good? Built-in quality, got those 5? All right, so now one more definition, the team of teams. Finally, we've got it, right? So they have sort of this, nothing beats an agile team except a team of teams, team of agile teams, which they call an agile release train. So if you have this group of teams that are aligned to a common mission, right? They still can show progress every 2 weeks, right? Every iteration, highlight this term right here, full system increment. Okay, so you see that, remember the word increment implies some piece of software that's delivered, right? An increment of value. A full system increment versus a team increment. Okay, a team increment just means the stories being demonstrated by the team. A full system increment is the whole team of teams showing some integrated work, right? Full system. Sometimes they use that terminology. I just want to make sure that's straight. They have common iteration links. Everybody's got to be, all the teams got to be on the same cadence, same iteration schedule. They're going to plan together and develop on a cadence. So here's this agile release train, art, virtual organization. It's not a real train, right? 5 to 12 teams typically. You could define it with smaller than 5. I said, you don't want to get too small, right? Then there's the overhead won't be worth it. But it's just a metaphor, right? It's what it means is that these are the teams that have to work together to deliver on this solution, right? To these sets of customers. So they're aligned to a common mission. They have a single art backlog. We call these features that are in there. It'll be defined, but so you start to see how we have these levels, right, of safe. Now the cadence that they work against, the teams at a team of team level, turns out that 2 weeks is not enough because you've got lots of integration that has to happen. We still want to try to demo every 2 weeks, but people have kind of figured out that a better cadence is going to be something longer, typically 8 to 12 weeks, what we call a PI. Just stands for planning interval. Those of you who took the essay exam, or if you've had any exposure to SAFe before this latest version that just came out, PI does not mean program increment anymore. Okay, so just keep that in mind. They got rid of the word program everywhere.
I'm sorry, what did the PI mean? Planning increment?
Yeah, it just means planning interval.
Interval, okay, thank you.
Remember, increment is a loaded word. Increment means like some increment of software. Okay, and then these are the art level events. So all the teams are going to get together once every PI. It's usually 8 to 12 weeks. And we're going to plan what we're going to do the whole next PI, right? So say 10 weeks. And then we don't just want to plan and then have all the teams go off on their own and never talk to one another. We're going to set up coach syncs, which is kind of analogous to the team syncs, right? Where we're meeting daily. This is usually every week, and all the Scrum Masters are going to get together and they're going to track how they're doing. There's also something called a PO sync. It's not shown here. Coach sync, by the way, used to be called Scrum of Scrums. They changed the name of it. You may know it as that. We have this system demo, and then the very end of the class, we'll go over this inspect and adapt and more of the details of this. This won't be the last time you're going to see this. So, by the way, tomorrow, the agenda is like so clear. We're gonna be walking through all of these team and art level events. Are going to have their own sets of slides. We're going to define exactly what a team's supposed to do, what the Scrum Master is supposed to do for each of these. So these early slides, don't get overwhelmed. They're just introducing the terms. You're gonna see a video like for each of the events. Okay. We finished chapter 1. I think you guys are ready for the exam. I don't even think we need to do the rest of the class. What do y'all think? Chapter 1. Good. A couple of things I want to point out at the end of each chapter. This is really important. So everybody make sure they're paying attention. I'm going to give an attention goat. Okay. Pay attention. The exam. Questions from the exam can come from 2 places. Number 1, any of these slides that has content is fair game. Right? Any of the slides we just went over, they're going to pull questions for. And there's some stuff, believe it or not, if they're in the slides, it would be very difficult to find online somehow. The other source of questions that's fair game is going to come from these specific links at the end of each chapter. So not the whole site, but these specific links that are listed at the end of each chapter. Everybody got that? And so the way this test really works, just to get this will give you a big hint, right? Is that if you had time to go look up everything, which you won't have time, right? That's the problem. You got to be really familiar. You would find the answer more than 90% of the time, probably for verbatim. And it would be from one of these sources. I've never seen a case where they've thrown a question that was not from one of these exact sources. So they don't try to, they're not going to be like throwing something in from a book that they referenced or anything like that. Now, this is still a lot of information, but I just wanted to point that out. Everybody good?
Yeah.
Great. Now, if you're newer to Scrum and to Agile, I can't emphasize enough. I know how you probably feel. You probably feel a little bit overwhelmed. There's lots of extra material for you. A 5-minute overview of SAFe. 3-minute video, welcome to your Scrum team, what to expect. 3-minute video about the big picture. There are tons of extra online learning and videos that we're not going to go through in the class together. But that I highly recommend that you need to look at all of this because you need that context, right? A lot of people in the class have been doing this for years. And so you're at a little disadvantage. You've got to play some catch up. So I would recommend that you do all of these things. And then at the last thing that's at the end of each chapter are references to the books. So if you guys could please have a book report ready by tomorrow morning on all the books in every chapter. Does that sound good? You guys can have it. I have a ChatGPT filter in my brain. I'll know if you guys are using ChatGPT, so don't even try it. Okay.
Very good.
to something. Anybody? Teams. You understand? The Agile Release Train is a team of teams. Make sense? Okay. Way of organized teams to work together to deliver product or service in time. Well, that sounds really good. That's right. I like that. Delivery of a full increment of working software. You're right that the Agile Release Train needs to be delivering full increments of working software, ideally even every iteration. But the definition of an Agile Release Train, right, would just be just keep in mind the question that they ask, because sometimes they'll do that. Very good. Entire team collaborating to release. Very good. Like that. Continuous delivery pipeline. Charlene, you're right that it's got this continuous delivery pipeline thing on top of it, which we're going to talk about later. That's kind of another metaphor. It's just the metaphor of a feature goes in the pipeline, comes out the other end, ready to be released. So one of the goals of the Agile Release Train is to continuously deliver right features. But the definition of an Agile Release Train is this team of teams that does this, that continuously delivers. Make sense? Everybody good? Awesome. Okay, last one. Describe what is a backlog. Some of these things are harder to put into words than you would think, right? It's like everybody kind of knows what it is. Not much time left. Don't overthink it. What basically is the backlog? All right. Okay. List of all items that be done by the teams to get desired product delivered. Okay, I like that. So nobody get offended when I change it. Sometimes I mold the language, like even when you guys are talking at things. So I just feel like that's part of my job here. So is to be picky with the language. And so nobody will get offended. The only thing, list of all items that needs to be done by the teams to get desired product delivered. I guess potentially, right? It's actually even more than that, because the backlog could contain things that we don't ever even get to, right? So it's just the awarding of desired product. You're right, the desired product is represented in there. It just has more. And you probably meant that. I'm nitpicking. I mean, you only had a few seconds to type the thing. So all the work his team is doing. Okay, I like that. That's technically right. Everything should be represented in the backlog. The items the team plans to work on. Very good. Yep. If it's not in there, it can't be worked on. Now this one is interesting, Prakash, the list of work items that the team needs to complete for the delivery of software increments. I guess technically that's right. Yeah, sort of the same thing as this, right? It does contain that, but it also is going to contain things that may not pertain to the immediate increment. And that may be what you meant. Does that make sense? I just wanted to make sure. Yep. Also wanted to clarify, sometimes they'll refer to an iteration backlog instead of team backlog, which is so confusing. I never use that in real life. And so the difference in that is that's actually just the items we committed to do this iteration. It's like a subset of the team backlog. Sometimes you'll see that. There's one big problem with this phrase, Shatali. Does anybody recognize it? There's one word that needs to be changed.
Features?
Yeah. What would we put? What do we work?
A task?
Stories. Yep. And so I'm going to show you guys one more thing. This is from my, you'll have access to this. The one thing that helps me is I like to think of things as levels. So I've got these slides where I just highlight the level, and notice that the team level, we're always talking about stories. We're always talking about iterations. If you're talking about these roles, you know you're talking about stories and the team, most likely. If you're talking about any of these events, those are team level events. If I go up one level, notice that at the art level, the team of teams level, we're talking features. And features are really what's delivered. That is where the solution is. The cadence that the art follows is longer. It's this 8 to 12 week PI. And it has these roles, right? Which they're kind of analogous, right? You've got, instead of a product owner, we've got a product manager. They're at a higher level of scope. Again, I don't know about reporting structure, but scope. This thing, and we're going to define all this thing called a release train engineer, system architect, and then these events. The main thing I just wanted to point out is that this distinction between the team and the team of teams. When I started connecting this, that's when SAFe started clicking in my brain. When I started realizing that you can kind of treat these things as, okay, how are we managing the people on a team? Then when you go up a level, how are we managing multiple teams and getting them to work together? So it's analogous. It's just, well, there's certain roles. So now like the members of the art are actual teams instead of people. And the language changes a little bit, right? We're dealing with features. Features are realized by stories. So I know that I'm introducing, trust everything I just talked about is going to be in a slide. I just like to repeat it a lot from different angles. But everybody okay? I didn't like flip anybody out. You okay? Notice this also, if you see any of these words, the word system, product, program, or train, I want you just to think art level. That means you're at the art level. System increment. The system architect. SAFe has a language of its own, which is intimidating for a lot of people, right? Just getting started. But okay, so we're going to start chapter 2 when we get back from lunch. I want to just take like a quick pulse. This is very difficult, these classes, to do with a wide variety of expertise. How's the pace? Nobody's going to hurt my feelings. I promise. Is it too fast? Is it too slow? About right. You can put it in chat or just let me know. I'm just checking in with you guys. How do you feel?
It looks about right to me, at least.
Okay, about right for Prakash, but he's more experienced. So, anybody else?
So I'm new, and I think you're doing awesome. I've taken some classes before, like I took the lead safe class, and that teacher was not very good. So I understand everything. I think you're super friendly. I find you friendly, so you answer a lot of the questions.
Well, I'll be meaner. I can be meaner.
Yeah. You explained you explained great. You explained great. So I love it. Thank you.
Okay, no, that's great. And I know that you're new to this, so that's good. What about those of you that are experienced? Is it dragging? Is it okay pace?
Yeah, I think the pace is great, and it's very interactive, and the classes are relatable and relate to what practical things we experienced day to day in activities. So it's been very good.
Okay. No, I appreciate that. All right, so I'll probably check in again with you guys later. It is normal, especially as we start getting further in the class and by tomorrow, to feel, if you're new, to start to feel a little overwhelmed, like you've got to connect the dots. That's normal. But I just want to make sure those of you who are, it's finding that right balance. So far I've got the right balance, it sounds like, but I'll check again with you guys.
So I took a lid safe mat, and I took a lid safe first. I took a lid safe last week, and then I did this. And if someone who's new would come and ask me, I would definitely tell them to take this first and then go do lid safe, because lid safe is all talking about agile release trains, and it doesn't describe what it is and stuff like that. Well, I don't know if it's just your slides, but I feel like this course is much more better now, and I understand lead safe even if I took it before now, because I am in this class. I don't know if that makes sense.
And you're getting it again from a different angle. The leading safe class is so aggressive. If you want to focus on Scrum Master, the leading safe class is crazy because it tries to cover everything, just like a wide scope, and it's very tricky. But I mean, obviously, I teach that one a lot too. But I wish more people would focus on these more focused classes, or there's another one called Safe for Teams that I think is more appropriate because they all can get a little overwhelming. This one is good though. This one, you guys, if you just study and apply, you're going to do well. It's good. It's a good pass rate for this class. I think you guys will do well. Okay, so normally I do 45 minutes for lunch, unless you guys want to overrule me, but most people, when they try to do shorter, they wish they had a little more time because they want to do something. But how does 45 minutes sound to you guys?
Awesome.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Charlene hasn't been the troublemaker, but maybe we should take off a minute or two just because she's a PMP. What do y'all think? Just to make her come back 2 minutes early. Does that sound fair? All right, Charlene, it's out of my hands. All right. All right, so 45 minutes for everyone. Charlene, 43 minutes for the PMP. All right. All right. See you guys shortly. Have a good lunch.
you know, I told him, I'm not gonna put pressure on him or anything like that, you know? So I just said, well, he said, well, try and make it a point to get up there, you know, soon. I said, whatever,
Yeah.
you know?
Happens when it's meant to, right?
Exactly. But to me, that was really nice. Not really. Once in a while. And then last time I talked to her, I hadn't talked to her in a month. Then when she got on the phone, it's like, oh my God. You know, she'll try to like twist things around. And it's like, I just couldn't go with it. I don't need to run around my life. And I feel bad because she hasn't seen her parents in 2 years. I mean, it's sad. And she has a brother and niece and 2 nephews. That's it, yeah. They don't hang out with friends or anything like that. Yeah, I did, but that's okay, but I'm not gonna judge that because only God can judge. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love how she just like leaves her door, her jacket in the door. Ever.
Man, what's up?
Hi, come here. What?
And look at her with her glasses, she's so cute.
Thank you.
I like your glasses.
What's going on? Doing good?
Yeah.
I like your polish.
Hi.
We need to go get it.
Come here, girl.
What? I know, you just gotta go with it, you just accept it, you know?
Come on, do you go there? Huh? Oh. Oh, you get it. Amanda, what do you think? Get it.
It might turn on the sky.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Very good. Sit a minute.
They just can't, you just live in the moment and that's.
I good looking.
Or when I'm going to the door,
I truly feel blessed, like, you know, to have my husband, my boy, no, seriously. But, you know, you just don't know what's going on in a household.
I'll be home short now.
I like to go to that nice restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, do the holiday. Well, none of this is. Yeah. Well, what I know, we can do it. But unfortunately, he got paid off. Seriously. When you're gonna get married, you need to sign.
Yeah.
It's like an old thing, right?
No, I can't, it's not there.
But that's all it's be your life.
Yeah.
See, that's like,
They come around,
yeah,
or every day.
that's all it's about. Yeah, that's all. No, but you know.
No. Absolutely not. Not me, somebody else.
Where is she when I'm laughter? Where is she?
Huh?
Where is she? We'll ask her.
Who, Zayda? She's at home.
Will I call her right now?
Huh? Yeah.
It'll be a different story.
She told me, oh,
Come on.
what are you doing for Thanksgiving? I said, I'm gonna come here for a little bit and you can go and go hang out here with my mom's house. And she told me, oh, but you should stay here and not go to your mom's house. I was like, no, I'm leaving you here. See you later. Got no problem with you. No way, right? That's good. No.
Come on, Abby.
Amanda,
Yeah, well, now.
let's find some time and hang out.
We gotta find time.
Yeah, I know, with 2 dogs. Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of people say that recently. Yeah, that's good. 11 pounds, last 3 weeks. I don't have time to. Thank you. Hey, come on, girl. I'm gonna give you a Arnold. Yeah, right.
I think that it's like when you have crisis in your life, when you face you have to like yourself. I think the things that are always like that, you know, and you have to focus on what you should. You have to like, and